Very good afternoon, students. Today we'll talk about the international marketing environment. And my name is Dr. Sangamitra Das. So let us proceed with the presentation. So, the main objectives of learning about the international market environment will be that you'll be able to understand the factors which constitute the international environment. So, the very first and foremost thing which affects the international environment is the socio-cultural environment. The cultural environment consists of the influence of religious, family, educational, and social systems in the marketing system. So, marketers who intend to market the products overseas may be very sensitive to foreign cultures. While the differences between our cultural background and in the other countries may seem very small, but the marketers, if they ignore these differences, the risks and failure in implementing the marketing programs will be much more. So let us start with the various subtopics that will come under the socio-cultural environment, and these include language, color, customs and taboos, values, aesthetics, time, business norms, religion, and social structure. And in the following sections, we'll be discussing the various things. So, if we talk about the language and the importance of language difference, you cannot actually overemphasize it because there are at least 3,000 languages in the world. So, language problems become more serious once the people of a country speak a different language. For example, in Canada, labels must be both in English and in French, and in India, there are over 200 different dialects. And a similar situation is there in China. For example, you can see over here the car which is named as Nova. So this car was very popular in the US, but when they tried to sell it in the Spanish speaking countries, it seemed to have big problems because Nova means no go. So they thought that the car would not move over there. So that is the difficulty that US company faced in the Spanish speaking countries. Now I talk about the colors. The colors also play a actually different role in different cultures, because according to the culture the meaning of the color also keeps on changing. For example, in Egypt, the country's national color of green is considered unacceptable for packaging because religious leaders once wore it. In Japan, black and white are colors of mourning and should not be used on a product's packaging. Similarly, purple is unacceptable in Hispanic nations because it is associated with death. Okay, and now if we talk about the customs and taboos, actually, all cultures have their unique set of customs and taboos. So, it is very important for the marketers to learn about these customs and taboos so that they will know what is acceptable and what is not actually acceptable in the marketing programs. So, if I say that, for example, Pepsodent actually launched its toothpaste in Southeast Asia, and it was a failure over there because it promised white teeth to a culture where black or yellow teeth are symbols of prestige. So, then secondly, we can say that General Motors launched the launched a car, as you can see in the example over here, and General Motors Body by Fisher. Actually, they had this slogan "Body by Fisher," and when it was translated to Japanese language, it became "Corpse by Fisher." By Fisher. So it was a failure in Japan. Next, we talk about the business norms. Every country has a different type of a business norm while they're performing their businesses over there in the particular country. So the norms of conducting business actually varies from country to country. You can say that in France, the wholesalers do not like to promote the products, but they are mainly interested in supplying the retailers with the products they need. In Russia, the plans of any kind must be approved by seemingly endless string of committees. As a result, business negotiation may take years to be completed. So these are the various types of business norms that are actually followed in the international market. Then, if we talk about the various religious beliefs or the values, we can say that actually in India, the Hindu religion forbids the consumption of beef, and fast food restaurants such as McD's and Burger King had to modify their products according to the Indian culture to make themselves successful. Then, if you talk about the timings, actually, as far as timing is concerned, the Americans are very punctual and they work according to the timings. Then, if you talk about the religious beliefs in US, the two-wage earner family has led to the development of more affluent set of customers. But in other cultures, it is considered unacceptable for women to work outside the home. For example, and then the women also do not participate in the household buying decisions in countries in which religion serves as opposition to the women's right. Now, if we talk about integrated marketing, so among the various other complexities facing the pan-European websites, some example, or you can say uh, some problem that you can face in case of integrated marketing is that developing a site for multiple languages, developing a site for multiple currencies, providing multilingual customer service, shipping across borders in Europe, handling the value added tax, and coping with strict government rules. Now, next I talk about aesthetics. Actually, aesthetics is used to refer to the concepts of beauty and good taste. So, the phrase, as we all know, that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, is very appropriate description of the difference in aesthetics that exists between the various cultures. For example, Americans believe that suntans are very attractive, youthful, and healthy, while as it is not considered a very good thing in Japan or in India. Then, if we talk about the political legal environment, you can say that it also affects the business a lot. The political legal environment in the foreign country is actually very different from the in the foreign countries it will be very different from the home country. So most nations desire to become self-reliant and to raise that status in the eyes of the rest of the world. So this is the essence of nationalism. For example, foreign governments can intervene in marketing programs in the following ways: contracts for the supply and delivery of goods and services, the registration and enforcement of trademarks, brand names, and labeling. It can We can talk about patents also, marketing communications, pricing, product safety, acceptability, and environmental issues. Now, if we talk about the political stability, any business activity that tends to grow and thrive when a nation is actually politically stable. When a nation is politically unstable, in such a condition, MNCs can still conduct business profitability. The strategies will be affected, however, because most of the firms probably prefer to engage in the export business rather than invest in the considerable sums of money in investment in the foreign subsidiaries. And if we talk about money circumstances, the government sets some exchange rates independently for the forces of supply and demand. The forces of supply and demand set the others. If a country's exchange rate is very low as compared to the other countries, the country's consumers must have to pay higher prices on imported goods. While the concept of exchange rate appears relatively very simple, these rates influence widely and often thus creating high risks for exporters and the importers. Mostly, if we talk about the political legal environment, the people who come from the foreign countries, they face a lot of problem. So let's take the first point, that is expropriation. Okay, so all the MNCs actually face the risk of expropriation. That is, the foreign government takes ownership of the plants, sometimes without compensating the owners. However, in many expropriations, the payment has been made and it is often equitable. So many of these facilities end up as a private rather than government organizations. Next, we talk about tariff. It is the most common form of restriction of trade is tariff. It is that means that tax is placed on imported goods. Protective tariffs are established in order to protect the domestic manufacturers against the competitors by raising the prices of the imported goods. Next, we talk about trading blocks and agreements. So, if we talk about the trading blocks and agreements, of the potentiality interesting results of the trade agreements like ASEAN is there or NAFTA is there, that many products previously restricted by dumping laws designed to keep out foreign products would have allowed them to be marketed over there. Then we talk about the monetary circumstances. If a country's exchange rate is low as compared to other countries, the country's consumers must pay higher prices on imported goods. Then we talk about the political stability. Most firms preferably prefer to engage in the export business rather than invest their money in the investments in foreign subsidiaries. Now, if I take the example of tariff is what? Actually, tariff is when you are actually charging a particular amount from the goods that are coming from the foreign country so that you're able to protect your domestic market. So I've given the example of Switzerland over here. The actually Switzerland does not produce much of its own meat. This is exaggerated by the fact that they also have very high standards for meat as well. So the only way for Swiss people to enjoy meat is to import it. The majority of the cattle in Switzerland is used for milk production and not meat production. There was nearly 20% decrease in price simply by crossing the border into Germany or Austria. And sometimes the tariff applied in Switzerland was double the original price according to a study by the World Trade Organization. Furthermore, according to the study by Swiss Information, actually Switzerland's meat prices are also 142%, that is above the normal rates. So so you can see that tariffs is actually applied on imported goods so that you can protect your domestic market. Now, next we talk about the technological environment. The level of technological development of a nation actually affects the attractiveness of doing business there, as well as the type of operations that are possible. Marketers in developed nations cannot take many technological advances for granted. They may not be available in lesser developed nations. Now, consider some of the following technologically related problems that firms may encounter in doing overseas business. Foreign workers must be trained to operate unfamiliar equipments. Poor transportation system increases production and physical distribution cost. Maintenance standards vary from one nation to the next nation. Poor communication facilitates hinder advertising through the mass media. So lack of data processing facilitates makes the task of planning, implementing and controlling marketing strategy much more difficult. Next, we talk about the environment, that is the economic environment. So, a nation's economic situation represents its current and potential capacity to produce the goods and services. So, the key to understand market opportunities lies in the evaluation of the stage of nation's economic growth. So, a way of classifying the economic growth of countries is to divide them into three groups: industrialized group, developing, and less developed nations. The industrialized nations actually are generally considered to be the United States, Japan, Canada, Russia, Australia, and most of Western Europe. The economies of these nations are characterized by private enterprises and consumer orientation. They have high literacy, modern, and high per capita incomes. Now, if we talk about the developing nations, are those that are making the transition from economies based on agriculture and raw material production to industrial economies. Many in Latin American nations fit into this category and they exhibit rising levels of education, technology, and per capita incomes. So, next we talk about the competitive environment. So, as the name itself is suggesting that you're going to have a competition. So, entering an international market is similar to doing a business in the domestic market in that firm. So, it seeks to gain differential advantage by investing resources in that market. Often, local firms will adapt imitation strategies, sometimes unsuccessful or sometimes successfully. When they are successful, their own nation's economy receives a good boost. When they're not successful, the multinational firm often buys them out. So this is the competitive environment. Then Beautifully, you can say, like a Japanese company like Nippon Electric Company, that is NEC, Nissan, Sharp, and Toyota, a team charged with bringing a product idea to market, estimates the price at which the product is most likely to appeal to the market. So, from this very first point, important judgment has to be done, and other things will flow after it. So, mm, next we now we talk about in a summarized way. You can actually summarize the things. Then we can talk about the marketing objectives. Once you have identified as a stakeholder the expectations that are carried out, the marketers can carry out a detailed situation analysis and make an evaluation of the capabilities of the company. The overall marketing goals can be set. It is important to stress that there is a need for realism in this, as only too frequently corporate plans are determined more by the desire for short-term credibility with shareholders than with the likelihood of that they will be achieved. So the process adopted for determining long-term and short-term objectives is important and varies significantly depending on the size of the business, the nature of the market, and abilities and motivation of managers in different markets. At an operational level, the national managers need to have an achievable and detailed plan for each country, which will take account of the local situation, explain what is expected from them, and how their performance will be measured. Examples of objectives might be financial performance, including return on investment and profitability, market penetration, including sales, market share by product categories, customer growth by volume and profitability, brand awareness and value, distribution, including strength and supply chain, number of outlets. Then another new product introduction and diffusion. Then you have company image, including the quality and added value of service. So, just we can summarize that once the firm has decided actually to enter into the foreign market, it becomes very necessary for it to do a thorough analysis of the foreign environment. So, it has to depend about the best way to enter the foreign market. A firm has five basic foreign market entry options, the selection of which depends largely on the degree of control that the firm wishes to maintain over its marketing program. When a firm chooses to market its products internationally, it must decide whether to adjust its domestic marketing program. Some firms choose to customize their market programs, adjusting their marketing mix to meet the needs of each target market. Others use a standardized marketing mix. In making the decision to customize or standardize, there is a wide range of possibilities for adapting the firm's product, price, promotion, and distribution. Okay, for this lecture, this was all from my side. Thank you, students, and have a nice day.